Okay, so I'll just give you kind of a quick, brief intro of Cloud CMA for those of you who may not be familiar. Cloud CMA is really, like Amanda said, it's just a simple report tool. It's an alternative to the reports you have in the MLS system. So what we really focus on is giving you as agents a great way to really wow your clients when you are presenting to them. So we really focus on simplicity, not just in creating the reports, but the actual content that's in the report, so it makes it easy for your clients to understand what you're showing. Speed, great presentation. This is really an awesome marketing tool to really put your best foot forward. And in addition, we have a lead generation tool that I'll show you that you can really use to kind of generate your own leads just by using Cloud CMA. So our goal is to get you to stop using the MLS printouts and actually use the Cloud CMA reports, because they are really, there's a lot of great features, not only with the PDF, but we have a slideshow, and then as Amanda mentioned, we are launching a new feature called Cloud CMA Live that will go, it'll be available later today at noon your time. So this is just kind of a quick preview of what the reports will look like. Again, just very impressive reports, like very, very visually appealing. You can change the color scheme so it matches your branding. So it gives you a little bit of kind of differentiation when you're going out there competing against other agents. And this is just kind of a preview of what Cloud CMA Live will look like. I will get into more details here in just a moment. So let's jump into Cloud CMA. Now, you will actually have access to get to Cloud CMA from within Flex MLS. So I believe it would be under the products tab, or if you're actually searching in Flex to find the comps that you want to use, there will be an option to export those comps into Cloud CMA. So you would select the comps you want to use, click export, and you should see a Cloud CMA button there. All right, now when we get into Cloud CMA, here I'm on my home page, so I'm just gonna kind of navigate from here and show you the different reports that are available. You'll notice at the top of the page, we have the CMA tab, buyer tour, property report, and a flyer. So while the name is Cloud CMA, it does do more than just CMA. So these are reports that'll work well whether you're working with a seller or with a buyer. So I'm going to walk through the process of creating a CMA. I'm just going to use a report that I already have generated here so we can go through how this works step by step. So our first step is going to be our criteria. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, you're actually going to have the capability to start a search in Flex MLS, select the comps you want to use, and then export them to Cloud CMA. Now, if you use that feature, what will happen is you will be taken right to this page, and in this box where it says exact listings by MLS number, the MLS numbers of the comps that you selected in Flex MLS would then be populated into this box. So that would be kind of your first step there. You'd already have your comps selected. And then all you'd have to do from there is populate your client name and input your subject property address. So as I start to type my address, what's going to happen is we're going to do an autocomplete. So you can just select the appropriate address. It will notify you if we find any tax data, so that will populate your square footage, bedrooms, and bathrooms. Now, in some cases, you may notice that the tax records are a little bit off, so if you needed to make any adjustments, maybe I know this is actually 2,300 square feet, I can always update that. So just because we put in that information doesn't mean that you have to use that. You can always override it if you know the details on that property. Now, in addition here, I want to point out, you'll have the capability to actually upload a picture of the subject property. Now, that's not a requirement. It's just kind of an added benefit if you actually have the picture of the subject property. It's just something you can add in to give your report a little kind of extra impact there. Now, if you don't have a photo of the property, I'll show you here in a second when we publish our report, we'll replace that with an aerial view of a map, so you still have a really nice looking cover page. Now going back down here to where we select our comp. So if I not start in the MLS and I come right into Cloud CMA, what I'm going to see, the other option I'll see there is the availability. Kind of what it sounds like. It's going to do a proximity search around the address of the subject property. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's not really limited to a particular radius. We will start with a half-mile radius, but if we can't find listings, say you selected 10 listings, you want to get at least 10 listings going back a year for those off-market listings. If we can't find that kind of activity in a half-mile radius, we will keep expanding that radius until we can find that activity. So that actually comes in really handy if you're, say, looking at a property that maybe is in a little bit of a more rural area. It's not going to limit you and as far as finding those comps. It'll just keep searching until we can find some activity around that subject property. All right, so our next step, we're going to fetch our listings. Now that's going to pull over the listing detail from the MLS database. So what we're doing, all the information that you see for these listings is coming straight from the MLS. So it's always accurate and up-to-date information for your CMA. Now, in this example here, again, I'm doing the quick and dirty search. So you'll notice on the map that some of these little price tags are actually color-coded. That means that we've actually included those in our report. And you'll notice that some are grayed out. So if I actually click on the grayed out price tag there, I can see a little bit about that property. You'll also notice I have the option to check that property, and now that will actually add that back into, or add that into my CMA. So add and remove comps in your report if you're doing the quick and dirty search. All right, now as I scroll down the page here, I want to point out some things. So first, you'll have a summary of your listing. So this will just give you a breakdown of the different statuses that you've included. Again, since I did the quick and dirty search, it's pulling all different types of activity like actives, pending, sold, and you can see a couple canceled and withdrawn listings. Totally up to you if you want to include those or not. I'm going to scroll down here in a minute just and walk through how you can remove any of these if you want to. But before we do that, I want to show this subject property section here. So this is where I can actually set the suggested list price if I want to include that in my CMA. So if I click on the price guide and net sheet link here, it's going to expand this, this guide that will look at the averages, highs and lows of the comps that I've included. Anytime I make any adjustments to, or if I remove or add any comps from my report, this chart would be updated to reflect that. Now, if I wanted to use any of these prices or maybe the suggested price range as my suggested list price, I can simply click on that range or that price, and it will populate into my suggested list price. Now, in order for this, you want to make sure that you actually input something here. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly one of these suggested ranges or prices that you see here. Again, you can kind of edit this if you wanted to make this a little bit, to just change this to, oops, maybe make it a little bit of a wider range here. So you can edit this however. All right, now, as I mentioned, if I want to change the comps that are included in my report, I have the capability to do that here. So again, with the quick and dirty search, it's going to give you lots of options. We're going to try to find like the best fit comps based on what information is input. We would try to find comps that are similar to that, to that kind of size of the house. Now here you can see that some of these options are grayed out. Bathrooms only 1,400 square feet. Maybe I don't want to include that comp, so I can simply uncheck that box. But then there's one right above it that is 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,100 square feet, and I do want to include that. Again, I can just select that. So it's very easy to kind of curate the comps that you want to include based on what the results that you're getting in this quick and dirty search. Another thing I want to point out, some agents don't like to include any canceled or withdrawn listings. So if I wanted to remove those, again, I can simply uncheck those. That takes that out of my report. Okay, so the next step here, I'm going to actually customize my report. Now, this is a really great way to make this report your own. And I always say this, even if everybody on this call is using Cloud CMA, I don't think any two of you are going to put together the exact same report. There are so many different ways that you can change up just the layouts, the color schemes, the pages that are included. So this is where you would change up anything that you want included in your report. So first and foremost, your theme. This is where you want to pick the color scheme that kind of matches your brand. So let's say that I'm with Century 21. I can go up and I can select the modern black and gold, and that would apply that theme to my report. So it'll give that black and gold color scheme throughout my report. And again, you can just kind of go through here, find the color scheme that works best for you. We have a lot of the major franchise themes as well as just some other color schemes that we've worked on throughout our time working with different brokers and companies since Cloud CMA has launched. So again, you just choose your theme, and that will apply that to your report. Once that's applied, you can see that you'll have different pages included down here. So I can change the pages individually just by clicking on the minus sign. But another thing I want to point out, this is really a huge time saver, is the template. So if I go to my template, we're going to have some built-in options. So these are basically just kind of shortcuts. So if I wanted to do this pre-listing package, I could select that template. And that's going to just automatically select the pages that we have curated for the pre-listing template. Now, I can also create my own custom templates, and that's what I have here. So as you're picking and choosing pages that you want to include, you can always just save a new template. So if I wanted to go with my favorite CMA layout, again, I just select that option. It'll choose the pages that I have created to be part of my favorite CMA layout. In addition, I'll have additional content over on the left-hand side of the page. So I'm just going to click on these arrows to expand so you can see what the different options are. So these are really just, this is content that you can include in your reports just depending on your seller situation. So maybe this is the first time that they've ever sold and you want to give them some information about staging their home. So any of these pages, if I want to see what it says before I actually include it, I can simply click on the page name and it will give me a preview. So this is the commission distribution page. Again, pretty common conversation that comes up during a listing presentation is negotiating commission. So if you want to be prepared for that, you can always add that, that commission distribution page into your report. All right. Other things you can change here, the layout. The first 3 layouts that you have, these will be more detailed layouts where we're pulling all the data that we can from the MLS on these particular listings, along with the photos. So these layouts, these first 3 layouts that are more detailed, can make your report much longer. So keep that in mind. Now, I always go with one of the condensed layouts, like multiple properties per page. So currently, I have the 3-column comparison. So we'll see what that looks like. The 4-column comparison will actually include the first column will be your subject property, and then the other 3 columns will be the comps that you've included. And then finally, the font. So this is, again, just a different way to kind of change the look and feel of your report. So we have a few different like. So I can just choose my font, and that would apply that to my report. Now, once I'm done with that, I simply publish my report. And that's it, I'm done. Now, one thing about that customize step is once you have your color scheme set up, your font, even the page layout, if you don't want to change anything on that step, you don't have to. So the next time I come in to create a CMA, I can just breeze through that customize step if I'm happy with the layout and the pages that I've included and my color scheme. So that's not something that you have to change every single time you create a report. All right, now once my report is created, you'll see I have my different report cards. So it'll give me my information like the actual client name, the address, and then you'll notice as I put my cursor over that report card, it's going to tell me how many times that report has been viewed, when it was last viewed, and when it was last updated. So it was last updated a minute ago when I republished it. Now down here, you're going to have the option to view the PDF. Right now, you are seeing the view slideshow link, but what's going to happen at noon today is that we'll actually change to, say, view live, and then you'll be able to see the slideshow link under the ellipses menu here, which has your additional options. So right now, I just want to point this out. You can copy the link to your PDF or your slideshow. You can also email your report. When you choose that option, you can email a link to the PDF, a link to the slideshow. And again, once Cloud CMA Live is actually available, you also have the option to include the link to the live CMA as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the PDF version of the report. So once it's published, like I said, if I didn't have a picture of my subject property, I simply have an aerial view of the map. Still makes for a really nice cover page. One thing I forgot to mention as I was creating this is your headline here, the comparative market analysis. This is actually something else you could change. So you could actually call this, you know, a neighborhood report or whatever kind of crazy customized title you want to give it. On the cover page, you'll also have your client's name, the subject property address, and your contact or your headshot and your company name as well. The next page will be your contact page. So this will be something that you'll update in your settings in Cloud CMA. I'll touch on this in just a moment. But you just want to make sure that you upload your company logo, your headshot, include any contact information like your email address, phone number, Twitter handle, whatever kind of information you want to include there. Now, keep in mind, as I'm going through this, the pages that I'm showing you, you're not limited to the pages that I've included. Just keep in mind on that customized step, you can pick and choose whatever content you want to include. But you can have a map of your comps. Again, it's all color-coded to kind of break down what statuses are included in your report. You can include these titles, the chapter titles, like a listing page that's going to kind of introduce, okay, now we're going to get into the listings. Now, as I mentioned, the layout that I selected was this column comparison. Again, this is just my preference because it cuts down on the number of pages. Totally up to you what kind of layout you want to select there. Again, I can break up my report kind of into different chapters. So here I can get into my analysis. This would be where I might go over my property statistics, my sold property analysis, and I could also include my suggested list price here. And then your guidance section, this would include any of that additional content you might want to include, like explaining the difference between a CMA and appraisal, you know, staging your home, that kind of thing. So really, it's totally up to you how you want to, or what kind of content you want to include there. I just encourage you to think about what situation your seller is in, and then kind of curate the content to that. All right, so let me jump to what the live version of this will look like. So keep in mind, when you're on your report card, there will be a new link that says View Live. So that will actually take you to what I'm showing you now, which is the live version of your CMA. Now, on this live version, we can start off by using the different cards that you see here. So these are all the different, this is all the different content that I can cover with my client. At the bottom of the page, you'll see the option to start your presentation. So if you do the start presentation, it's just going to flow in order of the content that you've chosen to include here. Now, on my live CMA, if I get in here and I decide that maybe I want to change up the order of this presentation, or maybe even add or remove different content, I can go to my menu in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to go down to Customize. And you can see that this little eyeball icon, the About Me page is turned off. So if I want to add that into my live CMA, I can add it in there. If I wanted to reorder any of these, so maybe I want the average price per square foot before the average pricing, I can just click and drag to reorder those. If any of these I want to turn off, I can just click on that eye again. Again, that eye icon, if it's got a cross through it, that means that it's turned off. If you can see the eyeball, it's actually turned on. So this is just how you can kind of pick and choose what content you actually want to include in your live CMA. Now, the other option here, and this is particularly beneficial in the situation now where maybe we're socially distancing, but even beyond that, if you're in a situation where maybe you can't meet the seller face-to-face because they're out of town or their schedule's too busy, whatever, you can always start a virtual meeting. So we built this integration right into Cloud CMA Live, where you can start a Zoom, Skype, Hangout, or a screen share very quickly right from your Cloud CMA Live report. So all you have to do is select the option you want to use and then start your meeting. So really cool integration there. The other thing here that we've added in is the capability to give feedback. So as you're using this, if you have any ideas, please feel free to share this. If you click on that Give Feedback, it'll actually take you to a form where you can add in your commentary, give us some different ideas, some things that you might want to see or things that you think could be improved. We're always looking for that kind of information from our users. All right, so let's actually get into our live CMA. There's lots of cool features here. So some of these pages will just be static pages, like what is a CMA? So this is actually content that you could include in your PDF. So if I'm doing my live CMA, and maybe I know that my client has already looked through my PDF version of the report, I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on what a CMA actually is. So I could jump right to my comps. Now, in the comps view, so first you'll have this side-by-side compare view. So your first tile here that you'll see, this will be your subject property. Down at the bottom of that, you'll see, again, just kind of a key that will give you the color coding of the different statuses that are included. And then we can just kind of walk through the comps that are included. Now, as you're going through here, you'll notice, say in the square footage, for example, it's going to tell you the difference between that comp and your subject property. So this particular property, I know it's got 5% more square footage than my subject property. Now, another cool feature about Cloud CMA Live is the Telestrator. So you'll notice this little crayon marker looking button. If I click on that button, this actually allows me to draw on the screen. So again, this is a great tool when I'm presenting remotely for me to be able to highlight different things like, okay, the square footage is only off by 1% with this particular property. So it really just gives you a way to highlight any information on the screen that you're talking about. You want to make sure that, that your client catches that. All right, so if I want to see more details about any of these properties, so for example, if I want to see see more information on this most expensive comp here, I can actually click on the photo. That will take me to the listing detail page. This is just a beautiful layout here, a great way to kind of go through the comps with your client. You can kind of show them the details of the listing, walk through, and again, anything that you want to highlight here, you know, you can just circle any of that using your Telestrator. Now, one other thing I want to show you up here is as you're going through here, this is the other great feature about Cloud CMA Live is that you can kind of do these what if scenarios by removing comps. So if you wanted to take out this comp, I can click on that toggle. That will turn that comp off in my report. So now it's going to kind of adjust any of my charts and graphs that are included as well. I'm going to leave this in for now so I can show you what that looks like when we get to one of our charts. All right, so you'll have different views for the comps as well. So I can go to my map view. Here again, this will just give me that visual of where the comps are in relation to my subject property. I click on any of those price tags, it will bring up the comp in the left-hand side of the screen. And again, if I click on the actual listing photo, it'll take me to the full detail page. Another option is a list view. So if you're kind of more of a numbers person and you want to just see that very compact list view, this will give you the breakdown, again, subject property, along with all the comps that you can quickly look at the differences there. All right, so as we move through our report, I'm just going to navigate using using my menu down here at the bottom of the page, so I can jump back and forth to the previous page or the next page by clicking at the bottom. So if I go to my average pricing chart, so this will give me the average price per square foot. Up at the top, it'll tell you the average price per square foot is $84 based on the comps that we've included. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, I can add and remove comps. So if I click on any of these dots, again, the dots that you see on the chart, these are going to represent my comps. So you can see that there are some outliers here. If I wanted to remove that comp, I'm just going to toggle that off, and you can see that my whole chart kind of adjust there to remove that particular comp. So I can do the same thing with this property up here, turn that comp off, and then it would adjust accordingly. So that's, again, just a great way to kind of show different what-if scenarios if you add or remove comps to your report. Average pricing, another great interactive kind of display here that will go through the different statuses that you've included. So obviously here with my active listings, I only had one. So there's my average on my actives. Down here, I've got the averages on my sold and then the pending. So again, it's just going to depend on how many comps you have included, what the different statuses are. That will always just adjust based on what you're including in your report. And then your time to sell. This is another great interactive page here where it's basically just showing the days on market and the percentage of list price that the home sold for. Again, this is doing the averages of the comps that you've included, and anytime you add or remove properties, this would be updated to reflect that information as well. So I'm going to actually jump to my home page here just to show you how this works. So if you click on your company logo, so this says W&R Studios, that will actually be your company logo. That will actually take you right back to your home page. So maybe I want to cut to the chase and get right to the estimated market value. So now I'm just going to click right on that page. If I had included a suggested list price in my report, that would be reflected at the top of the page. Otherwise, I'm going to have just the averages. So this is going to give me the average sold price, the average price per square foot, and then in here I could still put in an estimated sales price. So if I wanted to put in, we'll just say $188,000. Maybe I know the mortgage payoff is, let's say $65,000. So it's going to give you the net proceeds. And again, this is just a great way to show in real time and go through these different scenarios with your client. So that is just kind of a quick overview of Cloud CMA Live. You'll be able to actually use this, like I said, today at noon, this will be turned on. And let me show you, I'm going to just switch screens here. So this is our kind of test server here, but you'll see a message like this that says Cloud CMA Live. And like I said, in your report card, you'll actually have a link that says View Live. That will take you to the live version of your report. As I mentioned, you'll still have the access to the slideshow. That will be under your ellipses menu here with your additional options. So if you still want to view the slideshow, that will be available to you as well. All right. Now, really quickly, while I still have some time, I want to talk about the other reports that are available. So I'm just going to jump first to the property report. The property report is for a single property. This is great to use with buyers in particular, if I wanted to send them information on a home that they're interested in purchasing. So the process for creating the report is very simple. All I have to do for the property report is put in my client name and the address or the MLS number of the listing I want to share with my client. So the criteria step there, a little bit simpler than what you have in the CMA. After that, the rest of the process is basically the same. So you'll go through your listings, you can actually review that information, customize, and then publish your report. So once you have the hang of creating a report in Cloud CMA, the process is the same for each report. Your criteria step will be the only thing that's a little bit different. So just to give you a look at what the property report looks like. So on our cover page of our property report, we'll have one of the listing photos kind of front and center. Again, you'll have the name of your client that you've prepared this report for. It's include your contact information. Here's a different layout where you've got a couple of photos, all the listing details. You can choose a similar layout like this for your CMA. Keep that in mind. I can choose to include listing photos. And then some additional information we do is add in area school information. So this will be all the public and private schools closest to that particular listing. That comes from greatschools.com. And then area restaurants. Again, just kind of something else to keep in or provide some additional information for your buyer. These would be top-rated restaurants coming from Yelp. Again, closest in proximity to that particular listing. So really gives a comprehensive view of not just the listing, but some area details as well. All right, and then I also created a flyer. So the flyer, same process as creating the property report. All you'll need is really a client name and the MLS number. You'll have different flyer layouts that you can choose from as well. This is just one that I selected. So we pull all the photos, the listing details, again, right from the MLS. And it's important to make sure that you have all your contact information up to date, because we'll include that in the flyer as well. And then up here where you see the for sale heading, you'll have different options, different headings that you can include there, like just listed or open house or something along those lines. So different ways to kind of customize that flyer as well. All right, so speaking of your account settings, let me jump back into Cloud CMA and tell you where you can update your information. So if you'll notice in the top right-hand corner, you see my avatar here. Now, when you log into your account for the first time, you may see a little circle with your initials. So what you'll need to do is just click on the avatar, go to your account settings. And this is where you can update your photo, you can put in your company name, upload your company logo, email address, city, state, all that information. The other section you want to pay attention to is your contact information. So this is where you can add in your different contact information. So you'll just select the different, whatever info you want to update. So if you actually have a blog, include your blog address in there. So that'll be something that you can easily share with people via your Cloud CMA reports. Any of my contact information that I have here, I can actually click and drag to reorder that. So if I wanted my Twitter handle first, I can put that first in my list. So that's just different ways that you can update your contact information. Custom pages, I didn't talk about this when I was creating my report, but you can create custom pages a couple of different ways. So one way would be to actually use our kind of web editor. And this is basically pretty simple. It's kind of like working with a Word document in a sense. So I could give this a page title. I'll just call this My Team and hit add. All right, so when I get to this page, I can copy and paste content in there. I can add links. I could even add in videos. The cool thing about that is that if you add media in here in your custom pages, you'll be able to add that. You'll be able to include that information in your live CMA as well. So again, just another extra step to make that more interactive. So you can customize that page however you see fit to include that in your reports. The other option is you can actually upload custom PDFs. So if you have a page, that's information on your company or maybe other partners that you work with, you can always upload custom PDFs to include in your reports as well. All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about is the What's My Home Worth landing page. So again, I'm going to go under my avatar. You'll see the link for lead generation. So everybody that has a Cloud CMA account has this lead generation page. What it is it's basically just a way to use Cloud CMA to generate leads for sellers. So if I want to view this landing page, I'm going to click on that to show you what it looks like. All right, so if what you want to do is basically use this landing page. You can promote it on social media. You can embed it in your own website if you want to. I see tons of agents that will actually include a link in their email signature. So get creative with this. You can post it as many different places as you want. It's going to be unique to, it's going to be basically tied to your account. So anytime somebody clicks on that link, you're going to get a lead. So what happens is somebody will go to your landing page, they'll type in their subject property address. And again, it'll just auto-complete, so we'll select that. I'll hit my search bar. Great, it says they found that address. Now the client is going to put in their name. All right, they can put in phone number and square footage, that's optional, but we have to get the name and email address, and then we just simply email that report. So what happens is it's going to automatically generate a report. This is what the client or that prospect will see. They'll get a message that says they're going to receive a link to the report in a few minutes. It's going to have your contact information, your phone number, whatever you've included there. Now, if I go back to my Cloud CMA page, all right, you can see that I have a new report here that was created for Zach, and I can actually view that PDF. But as far as getting notified, if I go into my email, let's see, I think it was. Oh, wait, there's just update. All right, there it is. Okay, so it tells me that I have a new lead. All right, so this is basically what you as the agent will get. It'll tell you that someone just requested a CMA. It gives you their name, their email address, the address that they requested that report for, and then you'll actually have the link to that report. So you don't even have to log into Cloud CMA. When you get that email notification, you can actually just click on that link to view it. In addition, it's going to give you a preview of the email that the client receives. So this is this section here where it starts with "Hi, Zach." This is what the actual prospect would receive. So again, they're going to get your contact information. They'll know exactly how to get in touch with you. So Cloud CMA is really a great tool to use not only when you have a client that you're working with, but it's a great way to generate leads and get new business. So I would encourage you to take advantage of all the different functionality here, the different reports that are available. We have tons of videos as well. If I go under my avatar here, you'll see we've got our learning resources and our support center. Under the learning resources, we have all sorts of different videos that you can watch on how to create different reports, different features that are available that maybe I didn't get to touch on today. So if you need a little bit of a refresher, just keep in mind that those learning resources are available. Like I said, the live CMA will be available here very shortly for you. So get in there, get familiar with it. We hope you like it. And if you have any questions for us or feedback, like I said, take advantage of that link that we've added in there in the live CMA report and send us your thoughts and your feedback. All right, so that is Cloud CMA in a nutshell. I will turn it back over to you, Amanda.